Most people think something is wrong with you if you don't use social media. They don't say it directly, but you can see it in their reaction. You're not on Instagram? Not on TikTok? Not even WhatsApp status? They look at you like you're disconnected from the world, like you're behind, like you're missing life itself. But psychology shows a very different picture. Some people don't avoid social media because they are antisocial. They avoid it because their mind works differently. They don't need constant digital noise to feel real. They don't need public validation to feel alive. They don't need visibility to feel valuable. And in a world addicted to being seen, that kind of mind looks strange. But strange is not weak. Strange is often independent. There is a hidden psychological pattern behind people who stay away from social media. And once you understand it, you stop seeing them as missing out. You start seeing them as mentally structured in a rare way. Most people use social media as emotional regulation. They don't notice it, but they do. Bored arrow scroll, sad arrow post, insecure arrow upload, lonely arrow check views, anxious arrow refresh notifications. It becomes a nervous system pacifier, a digital comfort loop. Every like is a micro reward. Every view is a micro signal. Every comment is a micro approval hit. Dopamine doesn't care if the reward is deep or shallow. It only cares that it's frequent. That's why scrolling feels automatic, not intentional. But people who don't use social media much, or at all, usually regulate emotion differently. They don't distract emotion. They process it. They sit with discomfort longer. They think instead of escaping. They reflect instead of reacting. That doesn't make them superior, but it makes them neurologically different in behavior. Their brain is less trained on instant reward loops, which means their patience muscle is stronger. Another uncomfortable truth most people don't like hearing: social media rewards performance, not authenticity. You are not rewarded for being real. You are rewarded for being engaging. That's not the same thing. People who avoid social media often feel this tension strongly. They don't like turning moments into content. They don't like packaging feelings into captions. They don't like presenting life instead of living it. For them, experience feels sacred, not shareable. Psychologically, these people score higher in private identity orientation. That means their sense of self comes from internal standards, not public mirrors. They ask, do I respect myself? Not, do people approve of me? That one difference changes everything. Because when identity is internal, audience becomes optional. When identity is external, audience becomes oxygen. People who don't use social media much are often misunderstood as less social. But many of them are not less social. They are more selective. They prefer depth over reach. 10 real conversations over 10,000 passive viewers. Their brain values signal over noise. Social media is built on weak tie relationships, quick contact, low intimacy, fast turnover. But some personalities are wired for strong tie bonding, slow trust, deep connection, emotional precision. For them, mass connection feels empty, not exciting. That's why big follower numbers don't impress them, because psychologically, quantity does not equal closeness. Another pattern appears here. People who avoid social media often have higher cognitive privacy needs. This means they protect mental space aggressively. Too much input drains them. Too many opinions exhaust them. Too many updates overload them. Scrolling is not relaxing for them. It's mentally invasive. They feel crowded by information. Their mind prefers fewer inputs with higher meaning. They would rather read one deep idea than consume 200 shallow posts. This is not laziness. This is cognitive filtering. There is also a control factor. Social media trains reactive behavior. You react to trends, react to news, react to drama, react to other people's lives. But some minds resist reactive living. They prefer proactive structure. They don't want their mood shaped by algorithms. They don't want their attention auctioned. They don't want their focus fragmented. So they step away, not because they're scared, because they're protective. There is also a confidence layer most people miss. People who don't post their lives constantly often don't need proof that they're living well. They don't document happiness to believe it happened. They don't convert moments into evidence. If they travel, they experience. If they learn, they apply. If they grow, they internalize. Not everything becomes a broadcast. Psychologically, this shows lower external validation dependency. Their reward system is not audience-linked, it's progress-linked. That creates emotional stability, because audience approval is unstable by nature. Today, they cheer. Tomorrow, they scroll past you. If your worth is tied to attention, your self-esteem becomes volatile. People who stay away from that system avoid that volatility. There is also a maturity pattern here, not age maturity, cognitive maturity. These people understand something early. Visibility is not the same as value. Noise is not the same as impact. Popularity is not the same as respect. So they invest differently. They build skills quietly. They build discipline privately. They build identity offline. This creates a delayed reward personality style. They are comfortable being unseen while building something real. Most people can't tolerate that phase, because modern culture rewards visible effort, not silent progress. Another deep reason appears in people who had early emotional overstimulation in life: chaos, conflict, unpredictability. Their nervous system already lived in high alert. So they don't find stimulation addictive. They find it tiring. Social media feels like emotional traffic. Too many signals, too many reactions, too many emotional hooks. They don't feel drawn in, they feel pushed away. Silence feels safer to them than stimulation. That's not disconnection, that's regulation. There's also a power dynamic most people ignore. When you are not visible, you are harder to manipulate socially. People can't easily compare you, label you, track you, judge your timeline. You become psychologically harder to read. That creates subtle power. Because predictability makes you easy to influence, opacity makes you harder to control. People who stay offline often maintain psychological boundaries better because fewer people have access to their emotional signals. Less exposure, less intrusion, less social pressure. Another truth: social media compresses identity. It turns complex humans into simplified profiles, bio, photos, posts, highlights. But some people reject identity compression. They don't want to be summarized. They don't want to be packaged. They don't want to be interpreted through fragments. They prefer being known slowly, not scanned instantly. This personality type values narrative over snapshot, story over status, process over presentation. And that changes how they relate to the digital world. There is also a discipline angle. Attention is a finite resource. People who avoid social media often guard attention like currency. They know distraction compounds. They know fragmentation weakens willpower. They know scattered focus kills depth. So they reduce input channels. Not because they're old-fashioned, because they're strategic. Focus is a competitive advantage now, and they protect it. And here's the quiet twist most people never notice. People who don't use social media much are not trying to be different. They're trying to stay mentally clean. Less comparison, less performance, less pressure to react. They choose fewer voices in their head, so their own voice stays louder. If you see someone like this, don't assume they are behind. Many times they are simply less distracted. They are not absent from life. They are more present in it. And if you see yourself in this, even a little, it means your mind values depth over noise, clarity over crowd, and control over impulse. That's not weakness. That's psychological independence. If this kind of deep psychology breakdown helps you see people and yourself more clearly, then stay with the channel. Subscribe for more mind-level insights like this. Comment which psychology topic you want next, and share this with someone who thinks differently but never had words for it.